Hello and welcome to Wuhan in central China for the Dongfeng Citroën BWF Thomas and Uber Cup finals. Well, 5 days ago we started with 12 teams with all 5 continents represented. We're now down to the last 4 because today is semi-finals day at the 24th Uber Cup. Well, we'll have both Uber Cup semi-finals for you today, but we're starting this afternoon with the defending champions, Korea, who 2 years ago dramatically beat China to lift the Uber Cup. But let's first look at some of the smash speeds from the tournament so far. 290, the fastest for the men, and when you consider that the fastest serve in tennis, the fastest serve broken just 12 days ago by Sam Groth. 263 in tennis, 290 of course in badminton, a much faster sport than the sport of tennis. Well, another left-hander heads the list as far as the women are concerned. Camilla Rutayul, 232. Well, I'm quite certain that on semi-finals day here, and of course it's semi-finals of the Thomas Cup tomorrow, and the 2 finals, Uber Cup on Saturday, Thomas Cup on Sunday, I suspect that a number of these smashes will get faster and faster. Well, from quarterfinals onwards, it's been a knockout draw, and our match this afternoon comes from the bottom half of the draw. As I say, the defending champions, Korea, my goodness, they had to squeeze through against Chinese Taipei. 3-2, it all came down to the third women's singles. The last shuttle struck at 12:45. Just gone midnight, and of course they're up against Japan. The number 2 seeds, Japan, and they too had a very, very tight match late last night, winning through 3-2 against Indonesia. Well, that's the lineup for this afternoon, the standard order of play. We start with the first women's singles, then the first women's doubles, second women's singles, second women's doubles, and last of all, if we get that far, the third women's singles. And I say that, of course, because once the overall tie has been decided, best of 5 matches, so when one team has won 3 matches, the dead matches are not contested. Well, if it's anything like last night with these 2 teams, with any luck, it will go to the 5th and final match. Of course, I'm Jill Clark, sitting alongside former Danish head coach Stine Petersen. We have to mention the late finish last night, 1:45 in the morning for both teams, and here they are playing first match on this afternoon, but they all have been down at the hall, they've been practicing, they all look pretty sprightly and they all look very eager.
Definitely, and who wouldn't be playing the semi-final of the World Championship, Team World Championships here in Wuhan, but I'm also quite sure that neither the players nor the coaches or, for instance, the video operators got a lot of sleep last night because they had to prepare for this early match, and not exactly a favorable solution to, or good preparation to a semi-final match in the World Team Championship.
No, I appreciate the point, but I guess both teams were in the same scenario, both of them playing late into the night. And of course the first match up, a very interesting one, Hyun of Korea up against Sayaka Sato, the left-handed Japanese number 1, just a youngster, the Japanese player. Well, they're both youngsters, come to that, and I think that's something we've seen the whole way through this tournament, isn't it? The emergence of so many good young players, and of course one of them was in dramatic action yesterday, Tai Su-ying from Taipei, actually playing against Sung Ji-hyun. What a thriller it was. It was an hour and 14 minutes before the Korean eventually won through 21-14 in the deciding game. Sung Ji-hyun, well, she's played every match so far in this Uber Cup campaign. Of course, Korea were in Group C, had to play against Australia and Germany, and that quarter-final against Chinese Taipei. Here's our court officials for this first match. Court officials, Chang Pei Hua of China and Mike Walker of Canada. Well, without stating the absolute obvious, in these team competitions, of course, the first match absolutely vital as far as both teams are concerned. It sets the tone for the rest of the match. It can give inspiration to your teammates. Well, after the toss of the coin, players are swapping ends, because of course if you win the toss you can decide which end you wish to start, or you can decide to serve, or indeed you can choose to receive. And given the fact that there's been a noticeable drift in the arena here in Wuhan, not surprised that players choosing ends. Well, Sung Ji-hyun, the 20-year-old, born in Seoul in South Korea, as I was saying, won all of her matches so far, whereas her opponents lost one of her group matches. That was against Denmark, lost to the European champion Tina Baun in 2 straight games. But I have to say, in her quarter-final yesterday, the left-hander S.Sato looked particularly impressive against Maria Phoebe Kasuma-Stuti, winning in 2 straight games. Current world ranking of 11, as you can see in the win-loss record for the year. That's 8 tournaments she's played. Reached the semi-final of the Australian Grand Prix. That's the best result so far this year. But of course, Sung Ji-hyun been in the final of a Super Series event, her home Super Series event in Korea. Her opponents 4 places lower in the world ranking at 15, and that's a rather ominous win-loss record for the year. 8 tournaments and very much in the negative. So Sung Ji-hyun and Sayaka Sato, this is the 5th meeting between the 2 players. The previous 4 have all been won by the Korean. They're the Korean coaches, and that's very interesting because on the left there is Sung Ji-hyun's father.
That's right. I believe he's the national head coach in Korea.
Yes, and of course her mother, Kim Yun-ya, was the last player to win both singles and doubles titles at the All England Championships. Well, it's really a who's who of former great players on the coaching benches for this match, because for the Japanese player, you've got Park Ji-bong, who was former world and Olympic champion, and Yoni Kyura, Asian Games gold medalist in singles. '98 Asian Games, of course. Well, nervous moments before the start of the match. This is a repeat of the semi-final from 2 years ago. So the first of the 2012 Yuba Cup semi-finals gets underway. Well, I suppose we ought to question, Steen, the fact that Sung Ji-hyun had a marathon match yesterday against another young player, Tai Su-ying. 1 through in 3 games, needed 8 game points in the second game before she clinched that, and then went on to win the third, 21-14, an hour and 14 minutes. You compare that to the 34 minutes that Sato was on court to beat Kasuma Stuti. Is that going to have an effect for today's match?
Yeah, it might have. I was thinking exactly the same going into this match. We saw the statistics that Ji Hyun-sung was leading 4-0 in individual encounters, but of course it counts in some way, but it's not worth just as much as it looks on paper, because this is a team match, and being the first match of the tie, it's very, very important to give your country a good start. And nice shot here from Ji Hyun-sung. And I can't help thinking that there must be an enormous amount of pressure on the Korean girl. Definitely trying to give her team a good start, and expected to give her team a good start, and having Daddy sitting on the coach's chair, also want to give him a good start, sort of responsible for his success and his job.
Yes, absolutely. Well, of course, Sung Ji-hyun was part of the Uber Cup winning team 2 years ago in Kuala Lumpur. So even at the young age of 20, she's experienced these big match occasions. And for Korea, this, incredibly, their 15th consecutive semi-final appearance at the Uber Cup. Every single time since they've been in the competition, first entered the competition in 1984, they have reached at least the semi-final. Oh, just missed it. So both these nations, Steen, great tradition in this event, because of course Japan are the second most successful team in the history of the competition. Lifted the trophy 5 times.
And that was a little bit before the emergence of China on the international scene, and South Korea as well.
Yes, all of those titles won before both those nations that you just mentioned actually joined the International Badminton Federation, as it was at the time.
Actually had quite a long down period, the way I see it, the Japanese badminton, but revived after they hired Park Jo-bong to coach the national team. He's really done an amazing job. Actually, everywhere he's been coaching, he's been doing well.
Spent some time in England, then in Malaysia, now in Japan. And I think the biggest influence he's had, though, is in Japan. Oh, that's terrific. Just had some outstanding results as Sung Ji-hyun beaten the likes not only of Tina Bown, Wang Sin, current world number 2, but beat her when she was world number 1. Also beaten Wang Yi-han, the current world champion. So she can live with the very best, no doubt about it.
And a good start for Ji Hyun-sung here. Regarding to what we discussed earlier about would it affect her that she played considerably longer yesterday, I think it probably will if the match goes into 3 games, but so that we won't see the trouble that she might be in the first 1.5 game or so on. So So even if the Japanese trailing a little bit, she still should have some confidence that she might be able to outlast a Korean opponent.
Oh, that's delightful. Well, he has got lovely racket skills. Good disguise. No, I've done it. Sato, former silver medalist at the World Junior Championships back in 2008. Lost out to Saina Nehwal in that final. Didn't seem to stay with the shot.
It's so important to stay with it and make a good shot. A lot of players want to cover the court well after making the shot, so they move backwards a little bit too early, and that often pans out in a not so high quality shot.
It's a good rally. Oh, it's just wide. It's a very good rally. 3-point advantage at the mid-game interval in favour of Hyun. There's her father with the blue tracksuit top. Chen Gan, I think, from former Chinese player, the other coach. But it's interesting, Steen, you were saying to me that perhaps if it went the full distance, the match last night may affect the Korean player. I've been watching Sato recently, and it has occurred to me that she's been playing so many tournaments. 8 tournaments already this year, crisscrossing the globe, and 6 times she's lost in the first round. And I sort of wonder whether in fact she's had a build-up of fatigue, and the last couple of times I've seen her play in the Indian Superseries event, the Asian Badminton Championships, she's lost that sparkle to me. She looked worn out both mentally and physically.
It's very likely that it is so, and I think that we've seen here in some of the other matches that we haven't been televising that players looked a little bit worn out.
Yeah.
We saw Wang Shunho qualifying in the nick of time for the Olympics, losing his first match against Dieter Domke, then getting revenge yesterday, but he certainly didn't look to be at his best.
Now, of course, the end of the Olympic qualifying period was the world ranking published on the 3rd of May. And from that, all the players will know whether they've qualified for the Olympics or not. Mad rush to try and get final qualifying points. Well, it seems to me as if Sung Ji-hyun is determined on the defence to try and drive an awful lot of shuttles back.
And both players relying on a quite patient game plan. So also the mental part, the psychological part of the game might come into play. Just sticking with your game and varying your shots just a little bit to create some uncertainty with your opponent. And keeping up appearances as well, looking as if you're ready to run for 2 hours if needed.
So Sato back level. Yeah, that was better. Played the block back to the net rather than trying to drive the shuttle.
And there was one thing that I am a little bit worried about of the Japanese game, that she's playing an awful lot of clears, and we saw the drop shots she played from the baseline. It was quite long, so it was easy for Sung Ji-hyun to reach it, whereas the return was really close to the net, so the Japanese got to move herself a very long distance to catch up. Great shot from Sung Ji-hyun here, because it goes a little bit longer into the court than Sato expected. She was trying to play the tight net shot, and that's the wrong decision in that situation, because you have no chance of making a good shot, and most likely you end up making a mistake like she did here. So what she needed to do was to just play it back a little bit into away from the net, not risking anything.
She's missed it. Just watching these two players, Steen, huge contrast to me in the way that they move. One looks a very busy player on court, always sort of quickly moving and adjusting, and that of course is the left-hander, whereas Sung Ji-hyun, to me, just calmly seems to be fluently moving across the court and gliding towards the shuttle. Sato does play with a lot of intensity, doesn't she?
She does, and Sung Ji-hyun seems like she's conserving more energy. Sometimes in between the rallies, I fear that she won't be able to move in the rallies, but of course she is. But she's really taking her time. I mean, there's really no hurry there. Well played.
It's clever.
And I feel actually that what we're seeing here is sort of the difference between Japanese badminton and Korean badminton at the moment, because given the fact that they have Park Jo-bong as the coach in Japan, there will be a lot of similarities. He's been through the whole Korean badminton system, first as a player and also as a coach. So they're virtually capable of doing a lot of the same things, but it appears to me that the Koreans, they sort of get the tactics in the game a little bit better. They got a little bit better, a little bit sharper game plan than the Japanese players in general. Again, we saw this quite long drop shot from Sato, and it's really giving Sung Ji-hyun no trouble in returning it.
And it's also played cross-court, isn't it? Which, of course, if your opponent does get it back, all you've got to do is play the straight block, and then you've got to scamper the full diagonal, the longest distance to run on the court. They're really playing herself into trouble. Oh, completely mistimed that one. Looks up towards the lights. Oh, the lighting for this particular court, I think, has remained exactly the same. Of course, prior to today, there were 4 courts in action. And the lighting in the arena a little bit different, but certainly not on this court. I don't think it's altered at all. Points away from the opening game for Sung Ji-hyun. Oh, that's nice.
Really nice shot, and I was really missing those little deceptions, because the Korean girl are quite tall, so that would be one of the issues that I would be emphasizing for the Japanese player. See if you can make a little deception, get your opponent a little off balance, because hopefully then she won't be able to make the kind of quality shots that we've been seeing from the Korean girl so far. And that could be the key to creating more points by herself, Sayaka Sato.
Yeah. Just a little bit of slice on the shuttle there, creating the deception. And now 6 game point opportunities for the Korean.
And this shot we're going to see here, I'd like the Japanese girl to use that a lot more. It's a very efficient shot for left-handed players. Well played.
Oh my goodness. How did she miss that? Well, it was a real opportunity for Sato to finish off the rally, but instead she made the error. And that gives the opening game to Korea and Sung Ji-hyun. 21-15. 19 minutes of play. Well, not surprised by that, the number of overhead women winners from Sung Ji-hyun. It is something though, Steen, I think the statistics we've seen in general really this week between the women's singles and men's singles, far fewer winners from the net in women's singles than in men's singles.
Yes, Exactly, I totally agree with you, and that could be the case why we see, or we saw Sayaka miss this golden opportunity at the net. The explanation could be quite simple. She's never winning shots that way, or rarely, very rarely winning shots that way, and that's something that I think that the players should emphasize in the future, that it is becoming much too difficult scoring from the back part of the court. You have to practice winning shots from the first half of the court and towards the net, and that's where you want to be clinical. So these missed opportunities on the front court, they hurt so much. Not only do you lose the points, but you could have won one, so it's actually a 2-point shot.
Yeah.
Second game. Love ball. Play.
And a good start. A good start for the Korean team here. Sung Ji-hyun winning the first game. It looks more doable now. Only one game left to win.
Service over. 1 long.
Whereas Sato is back where she started.
Can go wide. That was an interesting change of tactics from Sung Ji-hyun, using the body smash. We see that quite often in men's singles, and I think it's a shot that's not used enough in women's singles. Oh, that's magnificent. What a smash. The Japanese team pleased with that one, and so they should be.
And for a right-handed player, it's very difficult to cover that shot, because you need to give some attention to your backhand side.
Yeah, a little feint with the wrist, just to send that block in a different direction. That's lovely skill. There is just long of that back line. Well, we've been noticing during the week, Steen, that the drift has been changing. How do you think it's going today?
Yeah, it hasn't been that easy to pick up on the drift during the week, and I haven't got a clear picture today either, so it's a bit of a guess that it's a little bit like yesterday, that the wind is going from Sung Ji-hyun's end towards Sayaka Sato's end, and a little bit from left to right as well. But compared to other tournaments that we've seen, it's nothing much.
No. There's bound to be a drift in any big arena. The natural air currents of warm air rising and will create a little bit of a drift for the players. Oh,
good shot.
Very, very clever.
5-2.
I've actually seen some of the coaches lighting a lighter in the hall to see from the flame how the wind is blowing. think Sato has a problem with these shots. She's not as comfortable targeting the front court as she is playing clears and smashes. Her drop shots are a little too unsharp to my taste.
Just long, and that run of points comes to an end. 5 straight points it was to Hyun. Watching it carefully. Yeah, good judgment.
Service over. 7-3.
It's good skill once again. Good deception. Oof, goodness me, that must have been close.
8-3.
It looked in from my position, but yeah. The linesmen are better placed, so probably they're right.
Oh! Well, it was a miss hit from Sato. It sat on the top of the net, but fell back her side. But it's interesting. Oh, it sat there for an age, didn't it? Interesting, though, Steen, that Hyun actually rushing the net there and making it count, trying to play the attacking shot, taking that half chance. That's what I think you were referring to earlier.
Was and she did it. She didn't look comfortable about it, and it could have gone wrong. But she needs to do that, because otherwise she give away too much opportunities. Too many opportunities, actually.
Unforced error on the return of serve. Well, there's been a few of those from Sayaka, Sato, Kaneko, Yonekiura. No, I don't understand any Japanese. What about you?
I did earlier this week, but the skills have sort of slipped away. But I think she's really urging Sato to do something extra now, because you're down one game and 3-11 trailing in the second, so something different has to happen. And for instance, we've been seeing her firing these immensely high services to the backcourt. So let's try something new, because this isn't working. That's clear to everyone. It's really hard for Sato to have some faith now that she can do this. She's lost on all 4 occasions, and everything looked like she's losing again. So there's got to be something really special to convince her that this can be done.
Yes, and I suppose the problem is compounded by the fact that she's had no confidence in recent tournaments. She can't draw on that, because she's had disappointing results by her own very high standards. And now she looks to me as if she's running out of ideas. She's never in a position to play that.
And now it's important that she gives a fighting appearance to inspire the rest of the team. We must fight. We must put pressure on the Koreans in every single match, even the matches that we are losing.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So that's something you want to pick up on as a coach and say, oh, what worked here? It was 2 drop shots after each other, same place. So let's try that again. Let's try the cross-court smash from the backhand side. Because those shots have been winners, and she really needs to make a lot of winners, because I don't reckon that Sung Ji-hyun will start making a lot of mistakes suddenly. One more time, same corner.
There's the body smash once again. No, I absolutely see your point on the tactics, because she's always opening up the angles, isn't she? 211. It's just over 131 miles per hour.
And if you, back home, watching, if you try to dim your eyes a little bit, you can see the players as one black spot and one red spot, and you'll see the black spot is a lot on the middle of the court, while the red spot is moving all the time.
Missed it. It's all slipping away from the Japanese number 1 rather too easily. 12-point advantage now to Sung Ji-hyun. Well, that was good.
5-15.
But to be honest, it's been a little bit hit or miss. Singles, you really have to try and work the rally, work your opponent first. And too often, in my opinion, Sato has tried to go for the winner on the return of serve.
She probably feels that she cannot match Sung Ji-hyun in the patient game, the clear drop game. And Sung has given her no reason to believe otherwise.
Oh, yes. Really got behind that one well.
Short lift from Sung. And then she actually has a nice smash. Quite powerful.
Yeah, there's another winner from the nets in the front of the courts.
18-8.
Oh, that is absolutely superb.
19-8.
Slicing across the feathers, she reached up so high, created the angle. Well, she's 2 points away from victory and getting career off to a flying start.
Service over. 9-19.
Oh, well, raises her hand in apology. But it was beautiful skill.
20 match point 9.
11 opportunities to close out this first women's singles. It's gone long.
Service over. 10, 20.
Yeah, simple straight block. And the victory goes to Hyun. 2 pretty comfortable games, and I have to say, after her marathon match last night, that was very impressive. Recovered well, done her job, and a big smile towards Dad, because he will be absolutely delighted. So confirmation of the score, 21-15, 21-10 in 36 minutes. Well, the winners from the nets, quite obvious. Stronger in that department, the Korean. So that confirms that Korea leads Japan in the first of the Uber Cup semi-finals. Next up is the first women's doubles. And both pairs involved in the first women's doubles have suffered a loss earlier in the week.